Picture this, a luxury private jet show in Miami, sleek aircraft worth millions gleaming under spotlights, well-dressed executives moving between them with practiced ease. But among the suits and designer shoes, one figure stands out. An elderly man in worn overalls and a faded plaid shirt, moving quietly through the crowd. The whispers start immediately, the smirks, the sideways glances. What these people don't know is that this unassuming farmer is about to teach them all an unforgettable lesson. The Miami Private Jet Showcase was the event of the year. Every major player in the industry gathered here, bringing their most impressive aircraft and their sharpest sales teams. The convention center had been transformed into a temple of luxury, with spotlights dancing off polished aluminum and crystal champagne glasses tinkling in manicured hands. For Thomas Bennett, this was just another day at the office. As the senior sales executive at Elite Jets, he'd spent 15 years cultivating the perfect image. His custom-tailored suit cost more than some people's cars, and his smile had closed deals worth hundreds of millions. He knew exactly who his customers were, or at least he thought he did. The morning had started perfectly. He'd already closed 2 deals, one with a real estate mogul from New York and another with a rising star in the tech industry. The commissions alone would cover his daughter's college tuition for the year. Thomas was riding high, feeling invincible. That's when he first noticed him, the man who would change everything. Among the sea of designer suits and leather briefcases, he stuck out like a weed in a rose garden. An elderly man, probably in his late 60s, wearing worn overalls and a faded plaid shirt that had seen better days. His weathered hands and sun-lined face spoke of long days working outdoors, not signing million-dollar contracts. But what was he doing here? The question nagged at Thomas as he watched the man slowly making his way between the aircraft. Could he be lost? Maybe he was part of the maintenance crew? The old man stopped in front of the crown jewel of Elite Jets showcase, the Gulfstream G650. His eyes moved over the aircraft with careful attention, studying every detail. Something about his gaze was different from the usual tire kickers Thomas was used to shooing away. But surely, what happened next would become legendary in the private aviation industry. The old man approached Thomas, who was busy arranging his sales materials for his next real client. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice carrying a slight southern drawl. "I've got some questions about the G650. Thomas barely glanced up. "Sir, this is a private event." His tone made it clear that private meant not for you, but the man persisted. "I understand that. I'm particularly interested in the cargo capacity and range capabilities." Thomas shared a knowing look with his colleague, Mark. "Must have taken a wrong turn looking for the farmer's market," he whispered, not quite quietly enough. Mark's laugh echoed across the polished floor, causing several heads to turn. The old man's cheeks flushed red, but he stood his ground. Throughout the morning, the scene repeated itself. The old man would wait patiently while Thomas catered to other clients, the right kind of clients. Each time he approached, Thomas found new ways to dismiss him. Meanwhile, a younger sales representative named Sarah kept shooting disapproving glances at Thomas's behavior. But who was this mysterious man really? And why did he keep coming back despite the humiliation? The answer would shock everyone in that showroom. As the day wore on, the old man's persistence began to irritate Thomas. During a quiet moment when the old man approached yet again, Thomas decided to end this charade once and for all. "Sir," he said with an exaggerated sigh, "these aircraft start at $40 million. Perhaps I can direct you to the regional airport for something more suitable?" The condescension in his voice could have frozen the Miami heat. The old man stood there, his weathered hands clasped in front of him. For a moment he said nothing, just studied Thomas with those careful eyes. Then, slowly, he reached into his pocket. Thomas expected him to pull out a crumpled brochure, maybe a business card from some small-town crop-dusting operation. He was already preparing his dismissive smile. What happened next would haunt Thomas's career for years to come. But before we reveal what the old man pulled from his pocket, let's talk about appearances. In today's world, success doesn't wear a uniform. The tech billionaire in a hoodie, the real estate mogul who drives a beat-up truck, these aren't exceptions anymore. They're becoming the rule. So why did Thomas make such a catastrophic assumption? The answer lies in his own prejudices, built up over years of dealing with a certain type of client. He'd forgotten the first rule of sales: never judge a book by its cover. The silence that fell over the showroom was absolute. Every eye turned to watch as the old man, James Whitaker was his name, pulled out not a brochure, not a business card, but a certified check. A certified check for $50 million. "I've been trying to tell you," James said quietly, his voice carrying in the hushed space. "I need 2 aircrafts for my executive board. My company supplies pharmaceutical-grade CBD to Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. We're expanding into Europe next month." Thomas's face drained of color faster than a summer sunset. But James wasn't finished. "I was hoping to purchase from your company because of its excellent reputation for customer service." He paused, looking Thomas directly in the eyes, "but I'm not sure I've seen evidence of that today." The truth about James Whitaker was extraordinary. His little farm was actually a 10,000-acre operation using advanced hydroponics and automated systems. While other farmers struggled with traditional crops, James had seen the future in pharmaceutical-grade hemp. The previous year alone, his company had generated over $300 million in revenue. Those worn overalls? He wore them because he still insisted on walking his fields every morning, checking the crops himself despite having a team of agricultural scientists on staff. That faded plaid shirt? It was comfortable, and comfort mattered more to James than impressing strangers. What happened next was both justice and karma wrapped into one perfect moment. James did buy aircraft that day, 2 of them in fact. But not from Thomas. He worked with Sarah, the young sales representative who had smiled at him kindly earlier when he looked lost. The total sale? Nearly $200 million, making it the largest single transaction in the showcase's history. As James prepared to leave with his new sales contracts, he turned to Thomas one last time. The words he spoke would become a lesson repeated in sales trainings across the country. "My father taught me that the size of someone's wallet doesn't determine their worth. But how someone treats others, that tells you everything you need to know." The story spread through the private aviation industry like wildfire. Every time someone made assumptions about a potential client, they'd remember the farmer who bought 2 jets. Every time a sales executive was tempted to dismiss someone based on appearances, they'd think of Thomas Bennett and what his prejudice cost him. James Whitaker's success continued to grow. His hemp operation expanded across 3 continents, and he eventually became one of the largest private fleet owners in the agricultural sector. His company revolutionized the pharmaceutical hemp industry, creating thousands of jobs and helping countless patients access affordable medication. And Thomas? He spent the next year explaining to his boss why he lost the biggest sale of the year. Despite his expensive suit and practiced smile, he found himself passed over for promotion after promotion. It turned out that in the end, his own prejudices had cost him far more than just a commission. The world of business is changing. Today's millionaires and billionaires don't all wear suits and ties. They don't all drive luxury cars or flaunt their wealth. Sometimes they wear overalls and work the land. Sometimes they carry their billions as quietly as they carry their dreams. James Whitaker's story reminds us that success doesn't need to shout to be heard. It doesn't need designer labels or fancy cars. Sometimes it just needs patience, perseverance, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your true worth. In the end, that check James pulled from his pocket did more than just buy aircraft. It bought a lesson in humility for everyone who witnessed that day. It showed that in our modern world, you never know who might be standing in front of you. The farmer in overalls might just be your biggest client, and the person in the designer suit might just be your biggest fool.